Greetings, lovely people, and welcome to Fast Track Force. Today we're going to be talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi Episode 3, or Part 3, and yeah, spoilers ahead for that episode. We're just going to jump straight into it, so yeah, roll that intro. So this episode picks up exactly where we left off. We've got Obi-Wan trying to commune with Qui-Gon while on the freighter, the ship that they were on at the end of the episode. And we also see Vader removed from his bacta tank. So Vader suits up. We see Vader's castle, which is nice. It's something that we haven't really seen too much of. It's in Rogue One. And I guess it's also in... Is that it? Is it actually just in Rogue One? But it's also in a lot of the other expanded media. And it's nice to see. It's nice that they are returning to these settings that we've seen before. And just kind of continuing to, to keep the entire world kind of intact. It's nice that they're actually keeping the continuity. The Grand Inquisitor is nothing to Vader, which we kind of already knew, but it's just very nice to actually... Well, not nice, but it's very cool to actually hear that straight from Vader, that the Grand Inquisitor literally just means nothing to him, which, as I very, very much on brand for both Vader and the Grand Inquisitor. And Vader goes on to offer the third sister the Grand Inquisitor position. Clearly, or at least currently, Vader isn't aware of the third sister's betrayal, which is really interesting. And if the Grand Inquisitor does actually survive, I could see Vader's wrath being, thrown at the third sister, so that's going to be really interesting. But going back to Leia and Obi-Wan, Leia asks about the Force, and we get a little bit of a discussion about it. Not really anything we've not heard before, but yeah, we get a little bit of a Leia being interested in Jedi teachings and stuff, which is, it's always good. Obi-Wan fixes Lola, and yeah, that's really all we get of those two on that little freighter ship. We do see a new postal droid, or delivery droid. It is mentioned later, and I will actually correct myself later. But yeah, some sort of new yellow, movement droid. Very interesting, and it's a postal worker in this instance. And we find out there is actually an Imperial presence on the planet, which is to be expected. It's the Empire days, it's going to be Empire presence everywhere, stormtroopers, very easy to get, apparently. And we find out that we're actually on a mining system now. Once again, didn't write down the name of the place, but it's a mining system. There's a lot of them. The Empire completely destroyed a lot of them. And, yeah, it's good that we at least get some context to what kind of planet it is. We then have a vision of Anakin. Anakin Skywalker, not Vader, Anakin, Hayden Christensen, in a cloak, just stood off in the distance. And it is just a vision, it's simply just an illusion of some kind that Obi-Wan is witnessing, or maybe it's a force projection by Vader. But in any case, we straight up just see Anakin just standing out in the open, which is really interesting, especially in the time frame. This is 10 years into Vader being Vader. So, very cool, very, very interesting to see. I hope we see more of Hayden Christensen, seeing as they brought him back. And then we are shown the Inquisitor Tower. It does have a fancy name, and I know that it's like something Inquisitorious or whatever. It's in Jedi Fallen Order, and I think it's in a few of the novels as well, and a few of the comics. But, yeah, I don't actually, off the top of my head, know what it's called. And the fourth brother of the Inquisitors claims leadership and claims that he should actually get the role of Grand Inquisitor. But then third sister just basically says she holds rank over them because Vader has given her the opportunity to become Grand Inquisitor. Which is, fair enough. And they all fear Vader enough to just allow that sort of thing. They don't even question it, really. And then the first sister requests that probes are launched. So we actually see the pods that probes are launched in, which is really cool. Something that I don't think we've actually seen before in terms of them actually launching. Obviously, in episode 5, I believe we actually see them breaking off of the pod. But yeah, very interesting to see that again. Very cool. And yeah, then back on the mining planet, we come across this kind star-nosed mole alien. I'm not familiar with this species, if it is something that's existed before. It may be new. But it's a star-nosed mole. and it's cute, but it's also on its vehicle because he picks up Obi-Wan and Leia who are using pseudonyms. Yeah, he picks them up, and there's an Imperial flag on the back of his vehicle. So he's an imp, but yeah, he's also friends with the imps. Like he legitimately just picks up some stormtroopers that their transport has been delayed, and fortunately though, Obi-Wan is actually able to trick stormtroopers with a sob story. He doesn't use the Force. He doesn't mind trick or anything. He just talks about his dead wife and how Leia is his daughter, and they were visiting family and stuff like that, and just yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, it works on the stormtroopers, which I will say, the stormtroopers do a great job. Even the fact that Obi-Wan trips up and accidentally calls Leia, who's being called Luma, I believe. He kind of trips up and calls her Leia, and then just turns that into Leia was her mother's name, sort of thing. It's really well done. Honestly, it really shows how Obi-Wan is very much capable of being kind of stealthy in a way, and he's out of practice, but he's still capable of being there and being consciously aware of his surroundings and everything, and it's just really good to see he didn't use the Force in that instance. It was actually his quick wit, and just generally really good scene. We then also have a little conversation once the stormtroopers have gone between Leia and Obi-Wan about how Obi-Wan gets glimpses or visions of his parents and a sibling. He says his brother. I'd assume it probably is a brother. I wonder if he'll ever get brought up in the future, but I kind of doubt it. But in any case, yeah, he actually, even though he's so young when he was taken by the Jedi, he does still kind of remember his parents and this brother, this sibling, which is really interesting. They all get to an Imperial checkpoint, and we're given Protocol 23 as an order, presumably that being something to do with trespassing or something to that effect, weird activity, anything like that. And after essentially a fight between Obi-Wan and a bunch of stormtroopers, where he even knocks out the Imperial mole, and then he also straight up causes a stormtrooper to get cut in half by a laser grid, which is, Disney says that they don't like to use violence, but geez, that was some violence right there. We're then shown a little transporter with an Imperial officer and some stormtroopers, and then the Imperial officer just shoots all the stormtroopers that she's with. And she's actually the contact that they were supposed to be meeting that had been set up by the fake Jedi last episode. So that's very interesting, honestly. And yeah, it was basically a case of Obi-Wan and Leia, if they'd just waited 5 minutes at the location they were supposed to meet the contact, they probably would have been fine. But Obi-Wan was just impatient when she wasn't there to begin with. So yeah, it is Obi-Wan's fault they're in the situation they're in, but it works out in the end. Obi-Wan comforts Leia over the fact she just witnessed all that death, and then we find out that the postal droid, as I called it, is a loader droid, and they can't actually communicate. They don't have any way of talking, even with other droids. They don't speak droid language. They understand they can be spoken to, but they can't communicate outwardly other than with vague gestures and stuff like that. And then we find out that the Empire has been hunting all Force sensitives. So we kind of knew this before, that they were after anyone that could potentially be a Jedi or a future Force user. But legitimately, Force-sensitive individuals are having to run from the Empire because they are being actively hunted, which we didn't realize before, the extent to which that was happening. But yeah, very, very interesting. We also find out that Quinlan Vos is still alive, which in Legends we already knew about, and presumably pretty much all that is now canonized. It's really cool to see that more Jedi that we know, that we, somewhat enjoy. I'm not a huge fan of Quinlan Vos, but when Obi-Wan pointed out that Vos had been in that area, very cool, very neat. In that room where they find out that Vos is alive and has been helping out, there are other names on the walls, and while I don't know them off the top of my head, it's all in Arabish, whatever, so it's, I can't direct translate it, but I've seen a few breakdowns, there's a lot of expanded universe characters that have been recanonized by the wall art, essentially, which is really cool. And Obi-Wan points out the way. So whether that's a Mandalorian reference, obviously he was in love, realistically, with Duchess Satine of Mandalore, so, he might know about the way. This is the way, I don't know. It might just be an offhand reference or something, but yeah, he does mention the way in terms of something that Voss had said, and yeah. Then we have a great scene where the loader just has a hammer while stormtroopers are checking out the building that he's in, and the loader droid is straight up just ready to start going full on armorer from Mandalorian Season 1 and just start smashing stormtrooper heads in with a hammer. I wish it happened, but also just the idea of it is great. I love that. The rebel says that Leia will make a good fighter, which, we know she will. We find out that the fake Imperial, the rebel, whatever, is actually a defector, so was a real Imperial that just defected, decided, no, this isn't very good. And then we find out Vader is on planet. That's right, Vader is planet side, and everyone in the village, everyone around fears Lord Vader, and rightly so, really. Anyone that's heard the stories of Lord Vader would know he's very dangerous. But yeah, Vader is killing innocents just on a whim. Obviously, it's to bring out Obi-Wan, but yeah, he ends up choking people, and he's dragging people across the ground, and he breaks someone's neck with the Force and stuff. It's really, brutal, and really interesting. I think it's some of the best stuff we've seen from Vader in a long time. Obviously, Rogue One stands above most stuff with Vader, but honestly, it was really menacing. Just having Vader just be he's so focused on finding Obi-Wan that he's just willing to just do whatever. He just kills people on a whim. It's kind of terrifying. But Vader does confront Obi-Wan. Vader straight up blames Ben for his current state, which is accurate. The Imperials and the Inquisitors are searching the village for any other Force users, any other Jedi, any other targets of interest, and the third sister finds the rebel hiding spot. It's weird how the stormtroopers couldn't, because when the third sister finds it, it's very obvious how to get into it, because it was a hidden door and everything, but it was very obvious how to get in there when the third sister finds it, so how the stormtroopers didn't notice it, no idea. But then the secret passage that Leia and the rebel are escaping through while Obi-Wan distracts Vader is just left open. So the first sister can just follow them down it, which is so dumb. We have Vader and Obi-Wan dueling, where Obi-Wan is definitely at a disadvantage. Vader is just wrecking shop. Honestly, it might be the strongest we've seen Vader in a very, very long time. Probably in live action at all, maybe. He's just absolutely wailing on Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan is really struggling to keep up with him, which is ridiculous, especially the last time they dueled was in episode 3, where they were both top of their game, really. It's incredible how Vader is just so much more powerful than Obi-Wan at this point. The rebel confronts the third sister, and yeah, that goes how you expect it. Obi-Wan is far weaker than Vader. I've already said that, really. Vader attempts to burn Obi-Wan by lighting some flammable crystal things on fire and just dragging him through it. Vader just pulls Obi through the fire. But yeah, the rebel doesn't die, and she manages to do cover fire on Obi just to kind of stop the stormtroopers and Vader from attacking. Blows up an explosive barrel, essentially, basically to save Obi-Wan. And the loader droid picks up Obi-Wan and just carries him away. Vader just allows it because he can see through. The stormtroopers, fair enough, can't really see that, but Vader straight up knows what's happening and just kind of allows it, which is definitely interesting, especially when Vader has an entire speech about how he wants to torture Obi-Wan. And yeah, Obi is gravely injured, and the third sister kills the pilot that Leia was supposed to be meeting, and presumably captures Leia. So yeah, that is the episode. I'm really excited for the next one, honestly. I think the fact that we got 2 episodes back to back on day one of the series, it kind of ruined me, because now I'm just like, I just want more constantly. And that is also why this episode is going up so late, because I've been really like debating whether I should do it as a back-to-back episode. But yeah, that's why it's coming out the day before a new episode. But yeah, this episode was really good. I really enjoyed it. Having Vader like actually planetside and everything, actually doing things, so cool. Like, it's so rare that we see Vader doing anything of value in Star Wars. Like, because realistically, the original trilogy doesn't do much other than stand there and be menacing. Rogue One, he kills all those rebels. But that's really it. Don't even get me started on episode 3 and the fact he just screams no and then crosses his arms. But yeah, like, generally, outside of maybe Jedi Fallen Order, we've not seen him be this menacing. Oh, Jedi Fallen Order and Rogue One. We haven't seen him be this menacing as a threat. So I'm really excited for more Vader. I'm kind of happy that they seem to have decided that Vader is a better main antagonist than the Grand Inquisitor. Obviously, the first sister is still pretty major. But yeah, overall, very excited for the next episode. Very interested to see where this goes. And yeah, I kind of want to know how they're going to heal Obi-Wan, because really it's just his arm. And that's mostly because they had to have him not be injured in like a way you could see. So basically his hands are never going to get hurt, his face is never going to get hurt, and presumably his legs aren't going to get damaged, or he'd walk with a limp. And that's just so they can keep it in line with the events of episode 4. But yeah, in any case, that's going to be it for this episode. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure to like it, subscribe if you're new here, and ring that bell so you never miss an upload. Otherwise, tell me what you think of the episode in the comments below. I'm really interested in hearing what people are thinking of the season so far. And yeah, without further ado, that's it from me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!
It's been a long week. I feel like I could use a vacation. I can hardly think. It's like the worst song you